Hey, what's going on, everybody? Let's turn on the chill music. There we go. Hey, I want to thank everyone for showing up today. We already have a chat room that is exploding with information. That's great to see. Let's see who we got in today right now. First out the gate, we got Learning with Juan. Fantastic. And he is having a conversation there. Fluffy Mix Mechanic. Good to see you, sir. Saw your stream today. Did you ever get that truck finished? I had to duck out a little bit early. It was time to eat and hang out with the family for a little bit before we could do anything. Canadian Diesel, fantastic. Good to see you back. We got Garage Monkey Mechanics here in the house. Great party of people. Thank you very much for showing up. So, I did have a lesson lined up for today, but I decided that you guys must have been tired of lessons. I'm going to give you a break today. And we had some interesting conversation in Fluffy's stream. We had a lot of people who were just asking about, hey, how do I get into this business? I am just fascinated by everything that you do. I need to get into this business. I am just itching. And there was a lot of people who were talking about some other people who had gotten into the business, and it doesn't seem like they're taking it seriously. And I don't want to focus on those people. What I do want to focus on are the people who do have the drive and desire to want to start turning wrenches for a living. Whether you're working in the oil field, you're working in fleet, you're working at a mom and pop shop, at a dealership, there's a plethora of places where you can apply your skills. And these damn glasses are not working with my green screen, unfortunately. Let me switch up to my other sexy specs here. Hopefully the lenses aren't too dirty. There we go. Still a little bit of green screen issue. Got some glare coming back. We'll deal with it. All right, folks. So I already see the chat's already warmed up with questions. Thank you very much. We are going to be doing a member only tool giveaway in 1 hour. So The time right now, Central Standard Time, is 8:13 at the beginning of the stream. So at a quarter after 9, don't let me forget, we have some more Tecton tool to be handing out and sending to your doorstep. Last week we did mini pry bar set that was 4 pry bars of different sizes and different angles. It's a fantastic set to have in your arsenal no matter what you do in a trade. If you're a home mechanic, if you're just somebody who likes to collect tools and not use them, or if you're a professional who just uses tools every day. You can never have enough mini pry bars, I say. So I'm going to take this from a standpoint of an individual who is just coming out of high school and they have little to no education on turning wrenches. All right. Those of you who have been doing it with friends and family for a living and you kind of already got the gears going of what's going on, take the information that you need. But I'm going to be presenting this from somebody who's just enthusiastic about the idea of turning wrenches. They may or may not have changed their own oil in the past, and maybe they're a little gun shy of pulling the trigger and getting their feet wet and jumping into the industry. So first off is I really want you to understand that you are making a career choice. When you want to turn wrenches for a living, you are making the decision that you want to invest in a career. And you have to hold on to that. Hold on to that emotion, hold on to that idea that you have, and think about where you want to go with it. That is the most important thing that I want you to do because we're going to talk about some stumbles and some pitfalls that you're going to come across. And I want to give you the some philosophy and I want to give you some personal stories of how I almost walked away from this career. I'm very grateful for what I have right now. I have survived a lot and my personality has changed multiple times over my 10-year turning wrenches. And I want you to be aware of those changes that you're going to go through yourself. You're going to change as a person as you grow into this, as you learn, as you start working with other people, your ideas, your passions, your emotions. You're going to intertangle with a lot of people. And I'm hoping that I can give you the hand tools necessary, the advice, the mentorship, and the guidance that you need to deal with individuals. Because I think one of the biggest struggles that technicians and mechanics have nowadays is working in a garage with other people. As an individual, we excel 150, 200%. We are great when we are all alone. But when you have to work with other people, that's where I think we fall apart. And that's where I fell apart myself. I had to do a lot of inner thinking and I had to work with other people and change who I was as an individual in the garage so that I could become a better technician. If you were to look at me who I was 10 years ago, you would have literally just written me off as an asshole. Straight up. I was the guy who knew more than you. I was the person who told you that I knew more than you. And I was the person who made it very clear that you were a waste of my time. And those are really regretful times in my career. And if I could take them back, I could, but I can't. But what all I can do right now is I could acknowledge and agree with those individuals that I was an asshole. And with some of them, we laugh about it and they acknowledge that I've made a personality change and I'm a team player now. And some of them still hold grudges. And well, I have to respect their individual decision to hold that grudge. It was a choice that I made, and there's always a tomorrow, is what I say. When you're working in a garage with a lot of different personalities, you always have to remember never take your work home with you. Okay, that's your thoughts, your emotions, your memories. Don't take that stuff home to your family. And at the beginning of every day, you should start fresh because someone's always going to come in a little bit butthurt, a little bit tired, and they're going to have some raw emotion. So let's move on. That was kind of my introduction, little teaser of what we're going to talk about today. We'll also kind of have a little bit of my backstory and my character development here. So let's start from the beginning. You want to turn wrenches. You got the itch to hold a tool in your hand. You're like, yeah, that's my weapon of choice. I want to turn it. I want to hear clicks. I want to snug things up. Congratulations. You've already passed the first step. All right. You have the drive to do something. The next thing is you have to find somebody who's going to want to let you do that in their shop under their insurance. So, my advice to you is to go look at a service center, a place that does a lot of services. Now, what's a service? Okay, what is a service on a vehicle? That's your oil changes, brakes, struts. Maybe they're sponsored by a company like BG, who does a lot of fluid flushes. Those are really good beginner places. I would highly stress that you stay away from places that do nothing but express oil changes. And I'm going to call them out. Take Five Oil Change, Jiffy Lube, Midas, Valvoline, Firestone. Walk away from those places because only two types of people, only two types of mechanics work in those places. And this is my personal opinion. If you know a place that is doing well and does not fit this persona, okay. They're the rare ones. But this is what I've seen across my state and my state of Texas, my home state of Michigan, and a couple of other states that I have had the pleasure of living in, like Mississippi and Montana. You have nothing but pure rookie techs that fuck everything up, and you have techs that are burnt out. That's it. That is the only two type of people that they have there. People who don't know what they're doing and people who are so frustrated with their career that they're just floating through until they can find another garage to take them on. Again, there are a few independent places that are doing very well, and they don't fit that stereotypical statement that I made. But if you're trying to get into the industry, you won't get the good help that you need there. So where should you go then? Find a service center that's maybe franchised. In my local area, we have a franchise called Christian Brothers. You can always look at a dealership. Okay. You'll only be working on one model of vehicle. I'm sorry. You'll only be working on one make of vehicle like Lincoln, Ford, General Motors. Okay. But there's still a good place to cut your teeth and learn how to do the job. And we're not just talking about just doing brakes and struts. We're talking about how the dynamic goes in a garage. When you work for somebody else, you have to think about what's going on behind the work order. The process of a customer driving their vehicle in, somebody checking them in, asking them questions about what they want to do with their vehicle today, addressing their concern, and then the routing of the paperwork through the shop. Pay attention to that. Understand that because that is where a lot of technicians, I think, fail is they don't understand that big picture. And having an idea of the big picture will make you more valuable uh, across the board to other service centers and other garages that are looking for somebody. Now, another technician might say, "Oh, you're just looking to play the game." Don't don't think about it like that. It's called understanding how the money flows. That's the way you want to think about it. So Some places that you can go and look. Let me get my share screen up here. I think I'll just do a whole window. That'll be easier. There we go. And can I put my face in there with it? Hell yeah, I can. There we go. Mhm. So first off is Indeed. The Indeed website has been an interesting website to find places that are looking for careers. Uh, the phone app OfferUp has also been an interesting place to look for some things, but it's a little there's some sketchy things out there. I was looking around on it about an hour ago, and I just saw some stuff that looks so scammy, so predatory. You want to stay away from it. Indeed was a much safer place, and I've even talked to my employer, and we post for job offerings up here. So this is pretty much a vetted place. I plugged in automotive mechanic. I'm just kind of playing around with some areas like Detroit, Michigan. And what's nice about Indeed is it gives you an idea of what you're potentially get a start at. So right here, it's saying that your base pay for somebody who knows what the hell they're doing might be at $23.60. Now, understand this is for somebody possibly with at least 1 year experience. If we're talking about somebody who has zero to no experience, you'd be lucky to be at $18. And when you join a garage, you join a team, expect to be on some sort of probationary pay. So here's some interview tips is one, dress appropriately for the job. I just had somebody that came into my garage looking for a job, and I first off want to say I support your need to be who you are and dress how you are. I mean, you see me, I got blue lenses, I got yellow lenses, okay? I like to have a little flair with my personality. I grow long hair, but understand that you might be talking to somebody who's 50, 60, 70 years old, and they're not very Gen Z compatible. So you might want to think about, like for me, I'll ponytail the hair back. All right. I'll make it look neat. Instead of having a big, bushy, homeless beard, okay, let's get the beard trimmed up. Let's grease it up and make it look neat. It looks like I understand, like, hey, if I'm gonna grow a beard and not shave every day, okay, I don't play for the Yankees. That's what I always tell my boss when he asks me if I'm gonna cut my beard. I tell him it's like, hey, I root for the Astros. I don't play for the Yankees. And if you don't understand baseball, it's the Yankees are not allowed to grow beards. So I always make sure at work I'm cleaned up, I'm brushed up, I got the hair back, I got a clean shirt on. Now, if you're somebody who lives at the Hot Topic and you got nothing but Joker jeans and baggy shirts, my God, please just for the love of God, think about just for once buying a pair of just relaxed fit jeans and a plain t-shirt. You can go a long way with that. You honestly can. They understand you're a kid coming in, you got no money. They don't expect you to come in looking like a Bible salesman with a suit and a tie. But unfortunately, this one kid, he literally looked like he had been shopping at Hot Topic for the last 10 years. And they weren't really too enthusiastic about bringing in somebody who shows up with a dog collar on. He's got a wallet chain times three. I mean, he was straight up not prepared to go in for a job interview. And while we were looking for help, at the same time, I could see it in my boss's eyes. His old man syndrome was clicking in, and he's like, I don't know if I really want to groom this person to be a career mechanic. I don't think this person is ready. And unfortunately, that's what happens in the job interview office is they look at you and they judge you and they determine, are you career ready? And he had already written off in his head 5 seconds into the interview, regardless of what this kid said, I think you should go spend another year at McDonald's. He heard the kid out and he took the kid's resume, and I don't think he's going to be a hiring candidate. But, gentlemen, ladies, I'm very sorry to say the industry still looks upon us like trash sometimes, and they do stereotype you, even though they're not supposed to. They still do. So think about those things when you're going in. That's a sad part to say. Uh, the basic things of don't slouch in a chair, yes sir, yes ma'am, is always very appropriate. Even if you're going into an entry level job and you have minimal level of experience, still just having a basic idea of what a resume could look like is very, very important. And there's a plethora of resume builders out there on the internet. And yeah, you're 18, 19 years old. The only work experience you have is at McDonald's or maybe bagging groceries. But putting that down and saying that you actually held a job for a year or two, that is valuable to an employer because that at least says this dude's going to show up. And that's the one of the first things that they're looking for is they're looking for somebody who's going to show up because when they hire you, they're going in with the intention of, is this dude going to last 5 years? Because that's unfortunately how long it really takes to build somebody from nothing to something in the mechanic world is it takes a minimum 5 years to go through all the trials, all the struggles, all the headaches, the pain, the suffering. So give the impression that, like, hey, I'm here for at least 5 years. Again, if you're already a career mechanic, you already know how to do interviews. If you've already bounced between a couple of shops, you know what to say. This is for somebody who is kind of maybe like, I'm scared. I don't know how to interview for a tradesman job with zero skill. Understand when you're interviewing for a trade skill and you don't have the skill set, they know that. They know that you don't have anything to offer. They know that they're going to have to invest in you. What you have to show them in return is that you're going to listen and you're going to give them backbreaking labor and you're going to be polite about everything, no matter how much they shit on you. And that'll be about the first 3 to 12 months of your life at that job, depending on how good of a dynamic you have with your coworkers and your new employer. So you land the job. Congratulations. Show up to work on time. I think this is probably the first big mistake that I see is they show up late. They call in sick. I've even had one person say, I need to take emergency vacation. Wow. Okay. If you're not ready to start the first 30 days hitting the ground running, especially in a trade skill, that does not look good. In a trade skill, they are looking for somebody to hit the ground running and work 5, 6 days a week, 50, 60 hours a week. Trade skills are backbreaking labor, and it does not let up until you become either the smartest person in the shop or a manager. We break the backs of our youth. That's just the honest truth. You're going to get calluses on your hand. You're going to go home tired. You're probably going to develop a smoking or a drinking habit. Please avoid those things. But the biggest mistake and the biggest thing that gets rookie mechanics fired is they don't show up to work. They don't show up to work on time or they don't show up to work. There are no call. We call it a no call, no show. Obviously, if you have a transportation issue, call it out. Right? If you get the job, the first thing you need to do is find a way of communication with your new employer to let them know that you're unable to show up to work, you are sick, or you have an emergency. All right. They're gonna give you a pass because you're brand new. You're inexperienced. You're gonna get that one pass. If you can't cut it more than a day, you gotta have a good reasonable excuse. And if it's something that is a big family problem, if it's something that's gonna keep you from doing the job, be open with them and let them know. Um, we unfortunately accidentally fired somebody from our automotive group, not at my local garage, but one of my sister garages. And I understand both sides of the situation. Okay. I understand it from a management perspective because when I was military, I had to manage a lot of people. Okay. I was in a superintendent position and you when you're at that level, you just need answers, you don't need excuses. And when there's an excuse, you need the story. You need to know what's going on. For the individual who is having a discrepancy problem, who is having an attendance problem, who is having a work performance problem, if it's going to go past a day, you just need to tell your employer, tell your boss, tell your supervisor, like, hey, like, we need to have like a 5 minute heart to heart. I got to let you in on something. Let them know, you know what? My mom's dying. I'm going to be going through some shit. I might show up late. I might show up exhausted, or I might call in sick a couple of times. That might think like, okay, some people might think like that shit that your employer doesn't need to know, but realistically, it is from an employer standpoint. I would rather want to know that up front so I can be easy on you and I can cover your ass than to like this individual 3 months later. Like, they started writing paperwork up on this guy, and they said, "Hey, like, we have an attendance problem with you. You've shown up an hour and a half late more than once." I think they had, like, 30 occurrences. Like, they were just starting to build this rap sheet now to, fire him. That's usually what happens when an employer doesn't do something for a couple of months, and then all of a sudden they start doing something. It's a show of force to justify you leaving so that way you can't collect an unemployment. So that's what they started doing. They built up they got at them first. They said, "Hey, your attendance is bad. You have all these days where you've shown up almost an hour and a half late." And they wrote them up for it. And the employees said nothing during the conversation. They they just gave him the basic talk of like, "Hey, like, we need you to show up. We need somebody dependable," so on and so forth. It was a very cookie cutter conversation. It was by the transactions that I read, it was very obvious that both parties were not prepared to talk about it, but the management side just had to do something because this was turning into a problem. Other people were picking up this guy's work, and nobody in the shop knew what was going on with this guy. A month later, they get him again. They're like, "Hey, it's the clocking in thing, guy. You're not clocking in. You're taking long lunches. By the way, your production's way down." There's no intervention here. Now, I blame that fault for management. As somebody prior management, I've had proper manager training. All right. I've been to multiple academies on how to manage and supervise and mentor people. And unfortunately, I don't see this in the civilian world too much. People are just promoted upwards based on their longevity with a company, and they're not given intervention training on how to determine, could this be an outside influence on this person? At that time, I would have really sitting down with this person and have a heart to heart talk and asked them like, what's going on in your personal life? Why are you struggling now? You used to be a good performer. I never seen this in you before. Is there something you want to tell me? Do you need some personal time to figure this out? Like, I would have just straight up told him, be like, "Hey, like, you got 10 days of vacation. Like, you just need to, like, get out of here and go figure something out and then come back and start fresh." Something like that. That didn't happen. So strike on management, but this is strike two on the employee for not saying something. And this is also something I want to preach to you. And I want you to go preach to your other coworkers is be honest with your employer. You need to have trust with your employer. Okay. You have an employment family side, and then you have your personal family side. So again, this guy's family member is dying, his mom is dying. And then she finally passed away, and this dude just ghosted the shop. They did no call, no show. After about a week of him not showing up, they just boxed up his stuff and pushed it into a corner. And it wasn't only through somebody just going to his house and trying to figure out what the hell was going on. He finally just let it all out that the last 4 months, he's just been trying to take care of his mom and take care of mom's hospital bills and take care of her at the house. That was a really crappy situation, and unfortunately, the company had already written him off. Does that sound really crappy as a company? Yeah, it does. From an outside perspective, it does. But from a manager who runs his company from an Excel spreadsheet, all he sees is I have a mechanic stall that should be making at least 8 hours of labor a day. It's not making any money. I'm losing money in the shop. I got a guy who just went AWOL. I don't know what the hell happened. He's not calling. He's not talking to me. He shows up late. He's gone. And that's what happened. And unfortunately, that guy took his tools and just left. He didn't say anything. So, guys and gals, if you got something going on in your life and it's going to hurt your work, talk to your boss. You would be as much as of an asshole as you think your employer is. I've had a lot of them change character 100%. They immediately turn off that bad manager face and they go, "All right, go shut the door. Let's talk. Let's find out a game plan so I can keep your job here." I've had my boss on another employee who listened to my advice because their immediate family was 3 states away, deathbed. They're going to die. Like they're going to pull the plug and she can't get there. They bought her a plane ticket. So you'd be surprised what some people do. And that person did come back to work and they lasted about another year, but they were still pretty messed up about it in the head. And eventually they just said, "I can't do this job." And they put in their 2 weeks and walked out. But you never know. You never know how good of a person somebody is until you let them know what's going on with yourself. So sorry, that got a little emotional there. I've just watched a lot of careers tank out because somebody had problems at home and they were just too proud, especially us men. We're too proud to ask for help emotionally. We're too proud to tell our family that we're suffering. Don't be afraid of those things, because this job kills you every day. I joke about it, but I'm being dead serious now. Like when you're a tradesman, okay, a tradesperson, sorry, women, but when you're doing a trade job, that's a job where you wake up before the rest of the fucking city. All right. You're up at 5:30. You're getting your coffee. You're probably eating a shitty ass microwave sandwich. And you got to open up your business or you got to open up somebody else's business before the rest of the world decides to wake up. So that way, when they wake up and they've already watched their TikTok and their YouTube, they can come to your business and they can yell at you. That's what you're waking up for every day. And you love it. For some damn reason, we love it. So, congratulations to everybody. Garage Monkey, I open up at 9. You got banker hours, you jackass. I open up at 7 a.m. I'm up at 5:30. I'm up at 5:30. I'm at the garage probably at about a quarter to 7. And I'm already starting to run the routine of how many appointments I have, what's coming in, and what I can snipe first thing in the morning before it all gets eaten up by the BG master techs. So we got off on a tangent. That was an emotional tangent. Thank you for surviving there. So, hey, you got the job, you're working the job, show up on time. If you don't got tools for the job, that's great. They don't expect you to have tools first day. So, we're going to focus on my trade, automotive repair. What are you going to need? Well, you're going to need some basic wrenches and sockets. Okay. Ugh. All right, Garage Monkey, let's take a break. Let's go through the comments. Let's see what's going on. All right, let's see here. We got here. Okay. Juan says, I like tools. Guys don't play with my emotions. We got some taco language. Okay, now we're talking about Tacomas. I think Juan and Fluffy have been going back and forth. Someone said a big taco. Taco's Tacoma, if nobody understands. Where's the host? I'm the host. Okay, Canada's here. Then Garage Monkey jumps in. Thanks for my taste in music. It's just some free stuff I found on the internet. Got to be careful not to get monetized. Yep. Hey, 10 minutes is a long time to wait. Okay, Rick Martin, respected mechanics. I know nothing about repairing my vehicles and depend heavily on your experience. You know what? I got the same respect for other people in other trades. I'm not a carpenter, I'm not a plumber, and I am definitely not a home and electrician. You give me DC circuits on an automotive, I know that stuff left and right. If you need me to run new wire from a panel to install a new receptacle, I'm probably going to hire an electrician. Can I change a breaker? Yeah. Can I change a receptacle? Yeah. Have I screwed up my own house wiring? Hell yeah. Yeah, I have. I was like, yeah, let's put GFIs in the house. And then I didn't know how to wire up GFIs correctly, and I didn't have power in half my house. Okay. Working at home, does that make me a home mechanic? Hell yeah, it does. You turn a wrench, you're a mechanic. Whether you're good or bad, you got tools. There you go. One of the best skills you can have as a mechanic is knowing when you don't know what you're doing. That's like the best skill you can learn to hone is know when you don't know what the hell you're doing. Because there's a lot of us who get delusional and we think we know what we're doing, and then we go too far and now we start breaking things. I don't know how many times I took my car apart in the driveway on a weekend and I couldn't get it back together in time to go to work on Monday. And I had to call somebody up. And eventually people stopped answering the phone because they were like, I'm not going to go pick up Joe. And we didn't have Uber back then. All right. We just had taxis. This is before Uber was around. And my job was about a 30-minute drive. And that was only 15 miles. And one time I did walk. That sucked, and then I tried to ride a bike, and that even sucked even worse. I had a higher chance of getting killed on a bicycle than I did actually walking. That's how bad the traffic is in our town. Fluffy says he's still learning. Yeah. Hey, every day we're learning, and every day new stuff comes out, and we get blown away. That's You're never too old to start. Okay. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. That's the first thing you'll learn. Holding a wrench. Wondering and thinking about opening my own shop. Oh crap. Yeah, that's amazing. It's been very strong on my mind, dude. And that's been itching in the back of my head stronger. Is I think it's time to walk and try and give it my own. Trying to find, I'm just like studying the real estate market right now and trying to get a game plan of how I can stay alive for the first 3 years. Obviously, opening up a mechanic shop, getting customers to come in will not be a problem. Making sure that I can have a brick and mortar place, that's a different story. Whether it's one stall, two stall, three stalls, but obviously I can't run it out of my house because my HOA will figure it out really, really fast. They're going to see some cars outside and go, I think that dude's running a business from his house. And I have a really low key HOA. I mean, like I've left a trash can on the curb for 2 weeks and they didn't say anything, but eventually they come around and they go, something ain't right. I just came to realize a couple weeks ago that because of this field and how we build ours, I have become very impatient. Yeah. Yeah. I had a couple situations. I personally like to just cussing at inanimate objects. Yes. That is a byproduct of being a tradesman, a tradeswoman, tradesperson is you will start talking to things that don't talk back and you will have arguments with them a lot. There will be a lot of conversations by yourself, whether they are good or bad or angry. Sorry, Baja, for your new text and your tech terra's sweep. That? Okay. Sorry, Baja. You're new in the trades. You're sweeping the form for the first 3 months and following Bob around like a lost puppy and learning. Sorry, I didn't follow the typos there. No tools till you pass Bob's test and my. Oh, okay. All right. That's a two-part thing. Yeah. That's a really good, shop standard. Shop standard is kinda call it an unwritten rule that everybody understands. Showing up to work on time, shop standard. Uh, Not investing in tools for a career you may not be serious about. That's a good thing to talk about there, Canadian Diesel. I have this conversation with new hires that make it to the express team. And after about 30 days, I have the little sit down and I ask them, be like, hey, how you feeling? Is this something you want to take serious? Most of the time, the answer is yes, because they're kids. They're dumb. They're like, yeah, it's like the Discovery Channel. Be like, 5 years later, it won't be. It's going to be like the Oxygen Channel, that channel that you're forced to pay for that nobody watches unless you're stuck in a hospital and you're dying. So yeah, don't go don't go buying things that you don't need right out the gate. Even if you just came from a trade school, be very reserved on what you're getting. And that's where I was going to kind of go into my favorite tool website, Tecton, because this is a place that is very, very affordable. I know a lot of people are super happy with Harbor Freight. And I'm not going to knock Harbor Freight. They got good stuff. I mean, I got a Pittsburgh wrench that you can't see because I got a green screen, but I got a Pittsburgh wrench right there sitting on my desk. I just used it at my house. It's fine. It works. It does great. I got two of them at work. I use them all the time. But this is a really strong company that has really, really good deals. And may you see something similar on Harbor Freight? Yeah. But why do I endorse this better than other places? Well, it's because of their turnaround on warranty. Their turnaround on warranty is amazing. You do it all on the website. They ask you can do it from your cell phone. They're actually developing a cell phone app to do this right now. But yeah, you just fill out what you have. You don't have to have proof of purchase. You take a photo of the damage, and then you'll get an email that says a new product is being sent to you, or we're going to send you a box for you to ship it to us for repair. Now, 99% of the time, they don't want their stuff back. The only time I've seen something be called back was if it was one of their high-end torque wrenches. Okay, they do have some beam wrenches hiding on here somewhere. Right here. So one of my fellow technicians, he has this set. It's a really great set. I've owned it for 2 years, never had a problem. I love it. But he broke the anvil on his half inch, and they did call that in. And they were just, I guess they were just a little bit curious as to how you snap the half inch anvil off of a beam wrench that's supposed to be load rated for something like 250 foot-pounds. They ended up sending him another one like a week later. They didn't pussyfoot around it. They just said like, "Hey, we want to take a look at it in person if you don't mind." They sent him a box, and that box was labeled for overnight. The other thing I really like about their tools is right here. Everyone's going to tell you where its country of origin is from. Taiwan. Yeah, but we do got some stuff up here that is starting to trickle into their Michigan plant. All right. United States. And if it's manufactured in the United States with global components, they're going to say that too. They're not going to use any kind of trickery. I talked to these people personally, nice folks. And I really do like that they're coming up with multiple options for their equipment. So if you're a person who just likes boring, hard handled screwdrivers, you can get the same shank on a different handle. If you want that, they call this the alien grip, by the way. If you want that warm, cozy, soft grip, they got you right there. And right back to their ratchets. This has been a new thing that's been going. Build your own ratchet. Okay. I don't want ratchets said. Is you can get their ratchets in any style that you want. So if you want the push release button with a soft grip, you got it. If you want a push release button with a hard handle, you got it. If you want the smooth, all right, if you don't want the push button, but you want the soft grip, they got you. They give you a lot of options there to play with, which is amazing. And they're always running crazy deals where they'll tell you, like, if you buy a couple of ratchets, your next one is $4 off. Sweet. So you can load up on all your sockets and ratchets here. The last thing about is sockets can get really crazy to buy. I mean, like, you got deep sockets, shallow sockets, semi-shallow sockets, 6 points, 12 points, and then let's not even get into the torque spits and the torque plus and the triple squares. Let's just talk about just boring old sockets. Every single one of their sets is no skip. And this is where Harbor Freight falls through. Okay. You look at a Harbor Freight set, they're always going to be missing a socket, no matter if it's SAE or if it's metric. Why? Because because sometimes there's a millimeter that's the same size as a standard. And they're doing that with the intention that you should just buy both sets. Well, folks, I don't have a lot of need for standard sockets when working on Asian vehicles. I work on Toyotas and Subarus and other random Japanese crap. And everything's metric unless the car had aftermarket parts put on, then I might need a standard size because the majority of aftermarket parts shows up with some hardware bolts that is in standard. But that aside, you get the no skip sets, and that is good. Second thing is, and this is something that I think Harbor Freight is falling short on, you can buy an individual socket. All right. You lose your 10, you don't have to get a whole new set to replenish that 10. Because right now, that's the only option that you have at the Harbor Freight. Now, Husky Tools from Home Depot, you can buy individual sockets. Lowe's does the same thing. They figured it out. So here, yeah, if you lose one of your sockets, you can replenish it. And it's very affordable. $5. And I think you got to spend 25 bucks to get free shipping. So not too bad. You'll always find something. So that's my support right there. Now, could you buy from a local vendor like Lowe's, Home Depot, Harbor Freight? Yes, 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 you can. But take into account your time. All right. If you're a mechanic, you're usually not going to have banker hours. And some of these stores don't stay open that late. Or maybe they're an hour across town. Like for me, getting to the Harbor Freight from my garage takes an hour. So if I break a Harbor Freight tool, I got to plan that shit out. All right. I literally do. I got to be like, okay, it's 5:30. I got to get out of here now because I'm going to go. It's going to take an hour to get over there. And I don't even know if they have the tool because if they don't have it in stock, I can't warranty it out. And sometimes you can't even get them on the phone and say, "Do you have that tool there?" Because they won't hold it for you. That's just my personal story. I've heard some nicer stories before. So that's why I buy from the truck because I can just text my guy and say, I broke it. He'll replenish it. And then I buy from Tecton because I can email them and say, I broke it. And usually within 24 hours, they say, we're sending you another one. And it shows up within 3 to 4 days. They're pretty spectacular people. So that's my side on it. And they don't force you to be a member. So as you see, every purchase, 10% back in rewards. And those rewards, you can hold on to them for up to 2 years. It's not bad. Let's catch up and chat. See if we got any interesting conversations. Because I think you guys got a whole side quest of stories going on here. We'll go straight to the bottom and I'll work my way back if it gets interesting. Holy crap, you guys are talking a lot. Hey, hey, man, girl, you won some tools last week, but you weren't in the chat. So you know what? Make sure you stick around because what time we got? 15 more minutes. We're gonna do another tool giveaway. All right. So let me just go ahead and poke that out there right now. We're gonna do a tool giveaway at 9:15, and you need to be here and you need to be a member. So if you're not already a member, go to the channel, member up. All right. And we're going to scrub through the list and we're going to add names to the pinwheel and we're going to get this party started. So, all right, let's catch up on where I left off at. Last year, you got the job, you're doing okay. All right, yeah. Canadian Diesel got me on a little tangent about tools. Yeah, all right. So now you're ready to buy tools. We went over tools, what you need to buy. Now, what work do you need to focus on? It's you're gonna be given not a short leash. After about 30 days, when they determine you're not a liability, they're going to kind of let you start doing some things by yourself. And every garage might will be a little bit different. But I'll tell you in my garage, you got about 2 weeks to figure it out or get out. So learning is fast. Take notes. If you're using a computer to do multi-points to do repair orders. And some of these computer programs, like the one I use, is called CDK. Congratulations on becoming a member. One of the programs I use is called CDK, and man, that thing reminds me of MS DOS. And if you don't know what MS DOS is, you're too young to go through the pain and suffering that I have. But that's a program where you have to use like command prompt codes. So you would type in STY for story and hit space, and then you would use a letter to say like what line of the repair you want to work on. FN for finish, and let's not even get into how to start warranty time. So someone's going to show you that program, or they're going to show you how to do the paperwork. Do not commit that to memory. That is the worst thing you can do as a rookie. Get a little pocket book, all right, the little 99-cent ones from the drugstore, and write that stuff down. All right. Take a note, write it down, and show these people that you are making an effort to be self sufficient. All right. That you can stand on your own 2 feet. Because the worst thing a newbie can do is to keep asking again and again and again. Hey, how do I close out a work order? Or hey, what should I do after this? Brother, we went through this 5 times already. Write it down. And now if you've written it down and it still doesn't make sense. I have respect for you still. All right? I will not lose respect for you because at least now you can come up and say, "Hey, we went through this. I wrote it down. I'm going through the steps, but I'm confused." Hallelujah. You've done the one thing that is the hardest thing to learn in the shop sometimes. And that is meet me halfway. Okay? You've met me halfway. I'll help you finish it. That's the best thing you can do right there is just meet them halfway. You showed effort. You took notes. You're referencing your notes. You're confused. Hey, well, let me look and see what you wrote down. Oh, okay. You wrote it down backwards. You got step 2 and 3 mixed up. Let's follow through with your steps. All right, you're good to go. Fantastic. Good job, brother. Good job, sister. Get that car out of here. Let's get on the next one. All right. Thank you, hands on mechanic, and thumbs up to you too, sir. So, all right. So we're past the 30 days. We're past the 60 days. Now you're kind of like in the like, I got to stop borrowing tools. I got to hold my own. Maybe I should buy some stuff. You be observant of what the express people are working. Stick to what your trade is. You're express. You're doing oil changes. You're moving cars around. You're inflating tires. Maybe you're jumping cars. You can get a jump box for cheap on Amazon for about $99. And if you're really nice to people, you might be able to just keep borrowing one for about a year. Okay. I don't really hold lube techs and express people too accountable to owning their own jump box because that's a big tall order to ask. So if you borrow something, you be respectful. You ask to borrow it, and you when you return it, you put it in the exact same spot. You just don't put it in a general area. If it came out of a drawer, it goes back in a drawer. If you used it and it was low on charge, you let that person know, "Hey, it's got a low charge. I'm gonna plug it in for you right over here, okay? Take care of it." If you borrowed it and it was filthy, hey, maybe wipe it off, okay? It's like, don't think that that person doesn't take care of their tools. Maybe that person just was so busy and they had dirty hands, they didn't have time. So, take care of them. But what you basically need is you need a good set of ratchets, okay? A quarter inch, a 3/8, and you can hold off on a half inch for a while. Get the sockets that you need. Get a tire inflator. Now, tire inflators, there are some cheap ones and there's some not so cheap ones. All right. The Harbor Freight one, y- I'm just gonna tell you, like these little $10 ones, if you drop them once, they're gonna break. This gauge is just gonna go out of calibration. It's gonna suck. This one right here is probably the cheapest one that I would recommend. I have field tested this for over a year. It has been dropped many, many a times, and it has held its calibration. And the sight glass is not broken. This is old school, very trustworthy. You'll like it. $40, you can't go wrong. You want to step it up and you want to get one of these fancy digital ones. I got a couple of guys who have these. They like them. But this little plastic screen right here, it's a soft spot. Okay, it's the Achilles heel. So if you throw it in a drawer and it's easy to tear, and if somebody oversprays some brake cleaner on there, it's gonna melt. So because express people are kind of the kindergartners of the shop, and They're a little bit messy and things always kind of find oil on them. This is a good starter one, and it'll last you a long time. It may find its way to your house when you upgrade to a big fancy one, but I like that one. I like it a lot. So your tire inflator, some basic sockets, you're ready to rock and roll. Be prepared to be changing oil for at least 3 to 12 months. Okay? Don't worry about a scan tool. A shop should have a uh, a shop owned tool that you can use. And as an express person or somebody who just does basic services, you'll very rarely be asked to scan a car for codes. Stay within your territory. All right. Your first year as a mechanic or a technician working in the automotive train, you should really just hone the fine skills, changing oil, rotating tires, and doing basic services like a brake flush. And the shop will supply you with a brake flush machine. It's very rare nowadays that a shop is actually going to bleed brakes the old-fashioned way. Okay. Yeah, there might be a mom and pop shop that is still doing it with a 20-ounce bottle and a hose. That's a mom and pop shop. Those are not the people I'm talking about. We're talking about franchise shops. Uh Shops that are trying to stay up to date with latest technology and services. They're going to have a service machine for the brake flush, changing out power steering fluid. They're going to have an AC roll around cart. Why are they going to have that? Is because they're dealing in high volume of customers and they don't have time for you to use these bush mechanic tricks to get it done. They want you doing front brakes in less than an hour. They want you doing brake flushes in less than 25 minutes. So hone those skills, get really, really good at them. If you trip up on something and you make a mistake, you let somebody know you made a mistake. You'd be surprised how many people do not get angry at you for making a mistake. They're actually thrilled that you said, "Hey, I was doing this and I I was doing it this way. I thought that was the right way. Turns out it wasn't the right way. I cut that rotor wrong. I need a new rotor." a a shop that has their shit together, which the majority of them do, will be like, "Okay, cool. Hey, call up the parts store, tell them we need a rotor for this car," and they'll go talk to the advisor, and the advisor will tell the customer that whatever it is, they'll make up whatever white lie they have to, or they'll be straight up honest and say, "Hey, like we screwed up your rotor. We're gonna buy you a new rotor." And don't be afraid about eating it as a cost. A shop should never threaten somebody for paying for something until you become like a senior technician, or unless it was straight up negligence. Okay, straight up negligence. But you're usually given one or two strikes as a rookie to make simple mistakes. And as long as you were staying within your realm of responsibility, you'll be okay. Now, when I was a rookie, I ended up buying a radiator. Well, how did I buy a radiator as a 1 year tech? Well, that's because I thought I was too big for my britches and I wandered over to the senior master stall and I was trying to suck up. I was sucking up, trying to think that I was too good to drop oil and I should be working on a main team. And I was asking them, like, "Hey, I want to help out. What can I do? What can I do?" And he's like, "Well, help me with this radiator. You know how to do radiators?" "Yeah, sure I do. I know how to do radiators." And I cracked that radiator. And what's the first thing the boss said? "What the hell's this dude doing over here?" And I was like, "I was trying to help." He says, "No, you change oil." And then when he found out how much that radiator was going to cost him, which was like 300 bucks, he looked at me and he's like, "If you want to keep working here, you're going to come up with half that money." So I had $50 a week taken out of my check. And it sucked, but that was a lessons learned. So stay within your realm. If somebody asks, if you get asked to help, let your team know that you are leaving your quadrant of the shop, and not just the guys around you, but also let uh, somebody in charge of you, if whether it's a service manager or somebody else. Just kind of let them know, be like, "Hey, like we're slow over here, but the main team they said that they need an extra set of hands to get a job done. They want to show me something." A service manager is not gonna say no in that situation. He's going to be like, yeah, I'm not paying you to stand around. And if you can help another job get out, whether it's holding a flashlight or cleaning their stall, go ahead. At least he knows somebody's in charge of you. Okay. Now, if you just wander over and you start helping somebody, that's a different thing. But if you've been invited and the manager, he's like, yep, that person's in charge of you, you're okay. Because I've been invited to a team to help them finish a job. And all I was doing was a bunch of bitch work, cleaning up parts. Okay. I was cleaning gasket maker off of parts, but I was included. Did I make a mistake? Yeah, I made a mistake. I made a mistake because I was a dumb tech and they didn't teach me how to clean parts appropriately. We fixed a mistake, but it cost the repair a day. Did the manager get mad at me? No, not really. Did the team leader get yelled at? Yes, he did. He got yelled at because he wasn't supervising me correctly. Did I get invited back? Yes, I did. Okay. So it's weird how the shop works. So you got to kind of roll with the flow a little bit. If you survived in high school without any kind of social hangups, without any kind of like weird anxiety issues, you'll do okay in a garage. All right. So now you're ready to kind of move out of your realm. You're done changing oil. You got your brake flushes. You've done all this BG stuff. What's the next evolutionary step? Alignments. All right. Because why? Because you can use your existing tools. Learn how to do alignments. They're fast, they're easy. The machine does 90% of the work for you. Okay. You hook up the sensors, you drive the car on the alignment rack, you hook up the sensors, you scan the VIN in. I mean, some of these machines even tell you what to do. They're pretty damn cool. So learn how to do alignments. You use your pre-existing tools. Now you got another trade on your belt. And alignments, they don't take a lot to figure out how to do. From there, now you can go on to bolt-ons. Okay, struts, basic components. Now you're doing struts. Now you're doing brakes. Now you might have to kind of invest in an impact. What impact did you get? Well, I mean, the Harbor Freight's got good impacts. And I know a lot of people like to talk them up. Uh, I say just go straight up pneumatic, folks. I know that cordless tools are all the craze right now, but for your first impact, just go with their top tier one. All right, the XT. Why do I recommend this one? Because I've seen people get into these little itty bitty ones and they blow them up left and right. But they're big Ugga Duggas. They seem to be holding up to the shop environment pretty well. I don't know why these little ones keep locking up, but a bunch of people on our Lube Express team, they all got excited about this little guy and they weren't making it a week. I mean, a week of changing tires with this thing, it flat out died. But then they all switched up to this one over here and they haven't had any problems. Don't know why. That's my 2 cents. I think it's time. It's 9:15. I think it's time to do the wrenches now. All right. All right. So I'm gonna work my way through the chat from bottom all the way up. Start adding names. If your name's got green, then you get put into the drawing. So Garage Monkey's in. And Canadian Diesel. Next up, we got Learning with Juan. There we go. King Diesel, Garage Monkey. So keep in mind that if you are just an observer and you're not in my chat, if you haven't been talking in chat, then I don't know you're here. So the YouTube stream does not give me a list of names of who's watching. So if you've just been watching and enjoying the content and you want to be in the drawing, just say hi in chat so I know. Man, Diesel, you have been tearing it up. You and Monkey are going to town in chat. I'm gonna have to download chat and see what the hell's going on. I almost need Fluffy in here watching my chat and talking. Felicia, Learning with Juana's already in. We got Wall. Wall's new. Wall just became a member of this chat or this stream. Good on you, sir. Quick Wrench. All right. Quick Wrench is here. Hipsters and Hippies, not a member. Oh, Midwest is here. And if I misspell your name, I'm very sorry. I'm trying to type it out as fast as I can because I don't have a moderator to back me up on this. Making our way to the top, and I don't see any new green out there. Fluffy. All right, I thought he was here. Hey, he had 2 spots last time and didn't stay in the chat to win. Okie doke. Double check the bottom. See if we got any new greens showing up. No new green. And let me just also put that out there right now. If you guys are in the mechanical field and you just want to talk, you can always email me. I have mechanics. They are not, you know, sometimes they just need to talk to somebody because they can't to talk to somebody at their shop. I'm here. I'll talk to you. I'll give you some advice. We'll talk in email. We'll go back and forth. And some of these conversations are still going on like a month. I'll get you through it, okay? Because as we'll talk later, it's pretty emotional working in a garage. So what are we gonna do for today? What is today's tool? I spotted something earlier in the outlet and I want to see if it's still there because it was a pretty cool tool. Yeah. Get ourselves a I think that's what I wanted right there. Or was it that right there? This looks like it was okay, yeah. All right. I'll let the community decide. This is like a little micro screwdriver set. You get the spudgy, you get the tiny tweezers. So you get this little spudgy up here, and then you get tiny precision tweezers, and then you get these micro bit sets here. So if you guys are kind of like a little home tinkerer with changing out cell phone batteries, working on some PC stuff, this would be a pretty cool tool. Or we could scale it up and You get full size bits instead. Oh, wait, no, it's the same damn thing. Instead, it's just got a bit storage holder. I read that wrong. Yeah, we'll just make it nut drivers. Nut drivers or the micro tools. What are we feeling? What are we feeling? Let's get some feedback in our chat. Scale crutch. Monkey says, let's scale it up 21s to 55 millimeter inches. Ah, I'd have to go to Northern Tools for that one. And when you start paying $50 a wrench after that. Okay, nobody owns a brick phone anymore. Okay, Wall's interested in the case. All right, we got a 50-50 here. Give me one more feedback. Come on, somebody be the tiebreaker here. Nut drivers or micro tools? Or maybe we can find something a little bit more tantalizing here. Oh, we got some screwdrivers up here. All right. We got yeah, we'll do a screwdriver set. Anything under 25. We got Oxy Black screwdriver set. And these look like the micro screwdrivers. Yeah, micro screwdriver set, small set. Okay, everyone's jumping on the micro screwdrivers. You got it. So the current one I'm looking at, right, guys? Yeah, okay. Everyone's liking that. Good, 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 good. Niceness. All right. Yeah, it's for well, sorry, well, you can always go to Tech Down and get the micro one. But thank you for being understanding. So where's my wheel? Oh my gosh, it's an ad. Of course it's an ad. That's the attitude to have right there. All right, if we don't have any newbies here, last chance. If you don't see your name on the wheel, and we're gonna go around and around and around, and see where it lands. And your name, baby. Oh, that was a misfire and a half. Sorry, Quick Wrench. Member only deal. I just got excited. You know, you're here so much. I just automatically assumed. Eric, yeah, all you got to do is join up and become a member. Go to the main page, click join. It's just 99 cents. 99 cents a month. And then every Saturday, we're going to be doing a tool giveaway from Tecton. And when our membership starts hitting in the hundreds, when I have 100 consistent members, then we're going to upscale our prizes to be larger because I have some companies I'm working with right here. We got topped on jump boxes here to be thrown onto the pile. I have voltmeters and scan tools that I want to start putting out there, but we got to scale up the membership here. So right now, membership is under 25. And since every member is only $1, we're going to scale it up that way. So if I have 100 members, then I can start doing $100 prizes. All right, let's try this again. Spinning again. There we go. How are you guys switching from green to no green? Oh, wait a sec. Yeah, so it wasn't my mistake. I think I screwed this up. This is all my fault, guys, because I see Quick Wrench is in green, but when I click on his name, it turns his green off and it makes it white. Man, I screwed that all up. So, yay, Quick Wrench, you're our original winner. Yeah, yeah, I have a different interface than what you're seeing. So, when I want to put comments up on the screen for everyone to see, I click on your name and it changed the graphic user interface just up a little bit. Okay, Quick Wrench. So, take the email, shoot me an email, and I will get your tools coming out to you as soon as I get an address to send them to. Oh, okay. Garage Monkey then? Send me an email. Congratulations. Congratulations, Garage Monkey. Now, okay, all right. You gave it to Sear? All right then. Sear, are you going to give it to somebody? You don't need any tools. Okay, how about I just spin again and pick another person? You want me to do that, Canadian Diesel? Felicia. All right. He says, give it to Felicia. Felicia, there you go. We got the email on the screen. So email me an address and I will send them out to you. Thank you all for being good sports with this and congratulations. Yeah, I kind of messed that one up, didn't I? That's my fault. Didn't mean to do it that way, but I'll just, yeah, it's my fault. Okay. So that was tonight's giveaway. And let's finish up our conversation here and make this short and sweet. So uh I think a couple of you had told me that you're advisors. So how can I give advice to advisors? Well, yes, I have experimented in that realm, and I will say that you have a scary position, much like your mechanics. And it is very normal. It's very normal for advisors and mechanics to butt heads and determine who's valuable over the other one. And in all honesty, those are conversations that you really want to start shutting down pretty fast. As soon as as a shop starts setting a precedence of who is more valuable than the other one, mechanics start saying, "You can't replace me. It takes 5 years to train a mechanic. Advisors are disposable." Well, yeah, you could say that's a fact. It does take time to train up a brand new mechanic and get them out of the express and get them into a stage 2. I'm doing some brakes and struts and maybe start doing some check engine lights. That takes time. But at the other side of it, the psychological torture that an advisor goes through is permanently damaging. I will tell you that. Mechanics really don't see a lot of the honeydews that advisors are stuck doing. Everything from cleaning service drives to having to show up 30 minutes early to start organizing paperwork or to open up a shop to refilling snacks for the customers, taking care of coffee, holding people's hands. There's just a lot of degrading things. And most importantly, the the overlooming thing to look at that is when an advisor is not in front of their computer to greet a new customer coming in, that's a lost potential sale. All right, that's money out of their pocket. Another thing that advisors have looming over their head is advisors, uh, the ones that I've worked with the majority of time in franchise shops, mega shops, and dealerships, they're they're put on a grading scale for their pay, and customers are given surveys through emails or maybe they're called up over their phone. And if that customer is in a bad mood, whether they had a good experience at the shop or not, maybe the mechanic, even if the mechanic fixed the car right or not, if that customer decides to respond to that survey in a bad mood and they start marking things down and start nitpicking things out about the shop, I had an advisor get a 5. What? Because the coffee machine wasn't working. They were just like 5 all the way down. Everything was average, and then they put in the open comments, there was no coffee. Well, now that average score, that advisor, they're stuck with that, and now their percentage of payout per closed work order could go from 9% to 7%, and when you start adding up percentages, that can cut their check short by 300-400 bucks. And some advisors, they're not paid weekly, they're paid monthly. It's very rare that you find advisors that are getting paid every other week, but I've seen some shops that they just pay them out by the month because that's when the shop does all its closing of tickets out for the month. Whereas a mechanic might get paid weekly. Another thing is a advisor cannot get paid out on a work order until that customer pays the bill. So when the mechanic does the job, let's say mechanic does an engine. They pulled the engine out on a Monday, they finished it before Thursday. The mechanic, he got flagged for hours and he gets paid for the work. It's the advisor's job to get that customer on the phone and be like, I need your butt in the store and I need you to pay your bill. Oh, I'm out of town right now. I'll come pick it up sometime next week. No, no rush. No rush. It's okay. It's okay if I leave it there, right? I'll be back in town by Wednesday. And advisor's going, I was really hoping to see that on this week's numbers. So that ticket's going to stay open until that customer decides to show up. And if that customer decided to, let's say, in my instance, my advisors get paid at the end of the month. Guess what today is? It's March. It's March 30th. Today was the last day for a customer to pick up a 40-hour ticket. I did a 40-hour job for this advisor. This customer's out of town. They're on holiday for Easter. They're like, it's okay, honey. I'll come by and pick it up next week. No problem. You've already had the car for 2 weeks. What's 2 more days? And he's going, that's a 40-hour job I sold. And he sold that good. Like it was not a BS express ticket. Like that was an engine overhaul, that was a subframe overhaul, that was a suspension overhaul. Like this person just dumped 10 grand into their car. He's not going to see a dime of that money for another month. He hates himself. And I know that he's holding back on me personally because that person just left for holiday for their Easter vacation. And I took 2 sick days. I could have had that car done last Friday, but I wasn't feeling good because my back hurt from doing back to back to back to back transmissions. So I took it easy. I said, I like, hey, I'm gonna take some painkillers, I'm gonna lie down, I'm gonna chill out. It is what it is. Your mechanic's hurt, he's got to rest. And nobody else is gonna finish that job because nobody else is gonna get paid because only the person who completes the job, who was assigned the task, gets paid. So that's a lot of the grief of the advisor world. Not to mention that a lot of these people who come in complaining about problems, especially if it's a repeat problem, that person's already spent money repairing their problem, and they're coming back to that same shop. You're probably going to come back swinging with words, not fists. And you have to sit there and suck it up. So my advice to advisors is if you got somebody who's just full of piss and vinegar and they're saying some things and they're going off on some things, the best thing you can do is stay at attention, start writing shit down. Okay. Don't just stand there and nod your head like, yeah, you're mad. Yeah, you're mad. I'm listening. Uh huh. I'm really listening. No, 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 no. I'm gonna be like, if you don't have your pen and paper, just let them know. Be like, okay, it's like, can I get something to write down first? And then let them talk and let them finish. Don't interrupt. Just keep let them talk. Let them talk. They'll exhaust themselves. All right. If anybody in here has ever had kids and a kid throws a temper tantrum, sometimes you just let that kid just let it out. Okay. Because that kid, your child, is learning how to deal with emotions, and you can't just stop a raw emotion in mid track and try and correct it. No, that's like throwing gas on a fire, or no, better yet, that's like trying to throw water on a grease fire. You're just gonna make it bigger. Your intentions were well, yeah, I'm gonna, because water puts out fire, right? Not when it's a grease fire. And that's what you have in front of you. You have an emotional customer. They got something to say. It's a grease fire. Gotta let it burn out. And then when they're exhausted, you can smother it. You can smother it with care and understanding. And the first thing you do is you say, I wrote down what you said. I want to go over everything and make sure I understood your concerns correctly. And you don't have to like recite everything they did and mock them with interpretations. You can be like, I'm just going to hit the bullet points right here and let me know if I miss anything. I've seen a lot of customers immediately just realize what they just done and they'll be quiet. There'll be that 1%. You'll get a Karen and they won't let it go and they'll be entitled. And there are special training for Karen customers. And I can devote an episode just to dealing with Karens because you can't win a fight with Karens. All you can do is just get rid of them. All right. You get the car in, you get it fixed, and you get rid of them. But majority of customers that are coming in blaming their grease fires, you can put them out pretty fast. They get their 3 5 minutes of attention. They said their piece. You wrote down their concern. You get them into a chair. You talk about it. You get them a cup of coffee or you get them a snack and you say, I'm going to put this ahead of the line. I'm going to take care of you. Or maybe you say, this is something I think that I need to talk with my manager about, and maybe he might want to come out and talk to you. Is that okay? Letting them feel involved into the repair process is very, very important. Uh, the one thing I would not say is, I'm going to get this back to the technician that worked on it last. No, because the car's back and the last dude didn't do it correctly. A comeback is a perception. It needs to be determined by a technician. Was it a repair discrepancy, which would be craftsmanship? Was it a craftsmanship problem? Is it a defect part? It happens, especially in the aftermarket world. It's very, very common. You get an aftermarket part, it doesn't work. Okay. Especially with alternators and AC compressors. So if you're going to tell a customer after you've got them relaxed and they chill out, if you say you're going to send it back to the shop, you let them know, like, hey, this is how I've said it before. I says, I have a senior technician tied up with something right now, but if you can give me 20 minutes to get him up to speed on this, I know I can get him to take a look at your car. Is that okay? They'll be like, oh, that's real. The senior technician. Yeah. It's like, okay. And it says, I'm also going to run it by my manager and let him know that your car came back here. I want him to be involved too. Okay. Don't try and hide it. A Cars come back to shops all the time, whether it's for the same problem or a new problem, because If you got a high mileage car or a very old car, you repair one thing, it's very common for it to make another thing surface, especially when doing suspension. Your car came in with a squeak and a rattle, you need struts. Hey, now the squeak and rattle's gone. Now you can hear the popping sound. That's your ball joints. But you didn't complain about popping because the squeak and rattle was the loudest. See what I'm talking about, guys? Gals? So that goes back to being just a good technician and a mechanic doing your post checks. Customer came in with a concern, squeaks and rattles. Hey, we fix it with new struts. I went on a test drive. Hey, we got popping noises. I took a quick look at it. We got a ball joint out. Let them know. Don't hide it. You did your post check. Hey, now we can hear this other thing. What do you want to do about it? Is it serious? Well, yeah, it's serious. It's a ball joint. It's already making noise. You should get it fixed. I had that happen just last week. I fixed an oil leak on a car. Okay. It was just an oil pan. No problem. Customer came in, say, "Hey, I got oil in my driveway. What's going on?" I did my multi point. I recommended some brakes and tires. And I said, "You need an oil pan reseal." He says, "Well, just fix the oil pan. I'm going to go to Costco for tires and I'm going to go to just brakes for brakes because they're cheaper." That's fine. You repair the car how you want to repair it. I get I get the oil leak fixed and I do my post checks. Fire up the car, drive it around. Okay, I put like 10 miles on it. Put it back in the air. No leaks. But the one thing I did pay attention to on my test drive was I was like, "Man, this car's got a really loud roaring noise." So went back to the advisor and say, "I know he didn't come in complaining about this roaring noise. This dude's got a bad rear hub. So we should let him know." And sure enough, he didn't even know that was a problem. But in turn, I have seen customers say, "That car wasn't making that noise when I brought it in. What did you do?" Well, customers forget when they drop their cars off for 2, 3 days, or even a week, they forget what their car makes noises, or they forget what noises their car makes sometimes. So bring those things up during your post checks. Hey, like when your AC compressor cycles, it makes a pinwheel noise. Did you know that? No, I didn't know that. Okay, we should get that checked out. Or maybe they say like, "Yeah, it's always made that. It's okay." So with advisors, um, I think the other thing that is a spit and a spat between advisors and technicians is technicians are, especially in a dealership world, we are always being we're always being forced to learn new technology, and we're being forced to get certifications, and that doesn't really fall onto the advisors so much. And that's kind of one of the driving factors as to kind of why we go tit for tat sometimes. And I'd say that your day is coming, but it's probably not. I mean, there's very, very little uh, certified training courses out there. There's seminars that some advisors and some managers get sent to, but a lot of your training is peer to peer. But um, your job's a lot of personality and being the glue between the shop and the shop and the customer. And the best way to avoid those discussions between an advisor and a mechanic is, one, don't let the mechanic bring that up, but always congratulate your mechanic on a good repair. I have two advisors that are doing fantastic at that. Oh, Felicia, you actually got congratulations. If you got that done, man, good job. Yeah, not a lot of advisors go after that ASC cert, but that's a good one to have. There's some good stuff in there. And I do actually teach a couple of advisor training courses, and maybe I should actually do a stream on one and let you all see what it's about, because there's a lot of social engineering that a advisor has to understand as far as approaching customers with concerns and keeping them aware of what's going on with their vehicle, or most importantly, just buying time for the mechanic. But the first thing that I always preach to advisors from being a mechanic is, um, get in the habit of just saying good job and thank you. All right. And those two things, just saying thank you for getting this done and good job, whether it's an oil change, a brake change, or maybe doing an engine, that really keeps the attitude at bay. It really, really does. I have a couple advisors who are very good at doing that, and they do not have spit. They do not have any conflict with any mechanics in the shop. I have worked with other advisors who are just like, I am God and I decide who gets work and who doesn't get work. And those people get run out of the shop really fast. Uh, it's and being on both sides of the house, being an advisor and being a mechanic, both positions can be a very thankless position. It really can. So we have to thank each other. Mechanics, technicians, if you get a good ticket from an advisor, like if they actually took your recommendations and they sold them, let them know. Say, hey, thank you. Good job. Good sale. Keep that attitude up and thank each other for doing each other's work successfully. That's the best dynamic that you can start between advisors and mechanics is congratulating each other on accomplishments. Hey, you got that job done. Good job. Hey, you made that upsell. Good job. You're doing good. Saying hi, saying good morning, just trying to keep the don't let the daily grind get to you, because that's what kills a lot of people in this industry is you let the grind get to you. This is coffee. I have a cold coffee brewer, so I like coffee. Um, Another good side tangent for advisors is being really good at buying time for your mechanic. There's a lot of times when you take in more work than you can. You had 9 appointments that day and you took 2 walk-ins. You thought you could squeeze them in, but that one diag is getting left behind. What do you do? Well, I actually have a session that I teach and it's about how to sell diagnostics over the phone, but it's also how to buy time for your mechanic to do their job. And here's a teaser for it. Car came in with a check engine light. No one's looked at it for an hour. Your customer needs an update. And this is the one thing that I preach in all the advisor classes is no matter what happens with that car within the first hour, they tell you this as a manager, you should have a estimate of upsales ready to go within 15 to 30 minutes. We know that doesn't happen sometimes. All right. Whether it's the car never got into the shop and never got a multi-point done, or whether the estimate is stuck on the parts counter and they're trying to find parts for this car. So the 1 hour ticker hits. You call that customer or you text that customer, you just give them the update. And that update would be, hi, uh, we're looking at your vehicle. We have the check engine light. Uh, the technician, and this is total bullshit, but I've used it before and it works. It says, hey, our technician, they pulled the code, or sorry, how did I start? It says, hey, we verified that the check engine light was on when it came into the garage and it's still on. We used our scanner, we got a code, we looked it up in our service manual, and we ran the basic flow chart. We didn't find anything that was an immediate attention to us. And we're going to escalate this to a level 2 diagnostic situation. I just need an extra hour. I'm not going to charge you for it, but I just need to know if you're okay with the car being at my garage for another hour or two while we uh, escalate this to another diagnostic level. Well, what did I say? I told that customer absolutely nothing. But what was the perception that I gave? I gave the customer a sense of control, that we're in control of the situation. The car's in the shop, it's being looked at. We've verified the situation. We got a code. We're looking in service data. And I didn't say we hit a brick wall, but I just said we're going to escalate our diagnostics. I didn't say what level 2 diagnostics was, but I'll let the customer just put that in their head like what they think level 2 is. Now I just bought my my mechanic an hour to figure this out, and that's when I go back to the shop and I say, "I know you didn't get on that thing an hour ago, but now I need you to get me something concrete in the next 30 minutes." And I tell him 30 minutes, even though I got an hour, because if I tell that mechanic, "You got an hour to get me an answer," you know he ain't gonna touch that car for 30 minutes. He's gonna be like, "Oh, I got an hour. It'll only take me 30 minutes to figure it out." I tell him 30 minutes, he's gonna be on it in 15 minutes. The worst thing you can do as an advisor is if you sell a buttload of services, we call it gravy. If you sell a buttload of gravy, and if you're a customer in here and you're listening, um, we're I'm I'm never being shameful of your patronage to a shop. All right. We just have nicknames for certain things, and it's our lingo. So stuff that we can do very fast, very efficiently, and very correctly. We'll call that gravy. And gravy is a tune-up, brake flushes, power steering flushes, coolant flushes, just stuff that's in and out. And sometimes customers are very, very happy to get a lot of these fluid changes done. And the bill can rack up, but they're okay with doing it because they recognize that the vehicle needs it. They want to get another 100,000 miles on it. And one of the things that you do at 100,000 miles is you reset all the fluids in the car. So I've had tickets before where they're like, yeah, the customer wants engine oil change, transmission flush, they want brake flush, power steering flush, tire rotation, alignment, uh, and like the list goes on and on. Like even some of like the evac cleaning services. All right, that's a lot of good services with a tune-up. And I'm like, dang, that's like a day and a half's worth of work right there as far as hours go. It's like that's a 12-hour ticket. So I got a 12-hour ticket and I'm thinking like, all right, that's gonna take me with in like a good mindset, maybe 4 or 5 hours to get done. Advisors, never undercut your mechanic's perception. And I've had this happen before on big tickets. They'll come in 4 hours in and they'll be like, hey, customer's going to pick up in an hour. And I'll go, this is a 12-hour ticket. What the hell? Always sell the ticket based on the labor hours sold, even if it's gravy. Okay. Some mechanics get things done faster than others. For me, I'm getting old, I'm getting slow. So, whereas a young buck at 25 years old could do a 12-hour gravy ticket in 3, 4 hours, I can't do that anymore. Like, I might actually take, and I've done this in some situations where I've had to take a break during a tune up. It gets to you. You can't lean over these engine bays. Pushing that hard on services uh, you get old. So I've had to sit down and tell one of these advisors, I'm sorry, I'm one of the older guys, and I do actually take a little bit extra time on some of the stuff for whatever reasons. I'm in pain. I'm not moving as fast. I can't throw tires around like I used to. Like I used to be able to do a tire rotation on an F-250 in less than like 5 minutes. I was at 25 years old. Now it might take me 20 minutes. And it pisses off advisors. But you know what? You pick up 50, 60-pound tires and you lift them over your head and you pick up off center weight. It gets to you over a while. It breaks down your body. So, from a mechanic to an advisor, if you're going to sell a big gravy ticket and you need it done lickety lickety split, be truthful at first. Always put on your work orders the time you want the car completed. And by completed, it's on the drive. Okay. Because some of these other shops, they have other things that have to be done to the cars. Like in my dealership, cars have to go through detail where they get a courtesy vacuum and they get a courtesy car wash. And that thing can be stuck back there during the time of day for 30, 40 minutes, which sucks. So, yeah, staying in communication, keeping calm, and checking in, especially on a big job. If you're trying to do a big job in one day, set a note for yourself, set an alarm. Hey, I need to go back and check on Baja Joe. I gave him a 12-hour ticket, and in 3 hours, I just want to know if we're on time because maybe Joe decided to sneak in another ticket. Guys, I've done that before. I'll be like, two gravy tickets one day. I'll take it. So, yeah, we do dumb things, we make mistakes, and we get greedy. We get our eyes get bigger than what we can do. So yeah, just staying in communication. And if something's not going to get done that same day, then have a backup plan. So how we doing in chat? You guys have been like just going to town. You guys are chatterboxes. I should get the conversation up here. Let's see where we can jump in. All right, we got an email coming in. Uh, this turned out to be like the last eviction. But okay, I don't know what's going on there. Don't want to get greedy. I have tons of tools. Working 29 years. Honestly, man, I hope to be there one day, man. I really am trying to get independent here. But yeah, paying it forward is always respectful. I do love that. I'd use those tectons to open boxes pretty much. Hey, whatever gets the job done. I got a set of these little tiny guys. I like them a lot. Good bang for your buck, and they're made in Michigan, where I'm from. You're due to start service advisor in May at a local Hyundai dealership. There you go. They're going to bombard you with an atrocious amount of online learning if they haven't already done. And my biggest thing I would say is because you'll most likely be standing up a lot, walking around, greeting people. The best routine that works, and it is hard to stick to this routine. It really is, but you will make the most money doing this. Is one, have two pair of shoes to wear. So when you take your lunch break, you change your shoes. Sometimes I changed my socks if I was standing outside all day. You get sweaty feet, so it was very refreshing mentally. Have a fresh pair of dry socks on, a nice pair of comfy shoes that weren't all sweated out. So I would actually change shoes out halfway through the day, and sometimes I would change out the socks. It was like a good mental reset. The second thing is when you get your schedule at the beginning of the day, you see your appointment list, already start trying to work in your lunch. Never push through your lunch. And don't and you're going to get pushed to actually try and like stay at your desk and eat your lunch, but just let them know. Be like, it's like I should at least take 20 minutes. Just go sit down, get some isolation, and chew my food. I was like, and I've addressed it once and I didn't get any pushback. I just was like, I don't like customers seeing me eat, or it's it's not very what's the word I used? It was a good way of saying it. It doesn't look organized to have a McDonald's sandwich sitting at my keyboard. I'd like to keep that away from the customer if that's okay. And then they were like, "Yeah, you're right. Go to the break room, go eat something, come back." Announce your depart when it's time to do lunches, or when I found like a gap in my schedule, I would tell the other advisors first thing in the morning. I go over, I'd be like, Gary, Larry, say, I got a gap between 1 and 1:30. I'd like to make that my lunch hour. Does that fit your schedules? And they'd be like, they'd look and be like, I never thought of doing this. And they look at me, yeah, we'll cover for you. Yeah, we got you. Okay, cool. 30 minutes before my lunch break that I said I was going to take, I would go through and make sure that all my tickets, I would scrub through and be like, okay, who's picking up, what's still in the shop, and who do I got to give an update to? And I would start crunching that right there. And then I would have a little bit of notepad put out and I would let Gary and Jerry know. I'd be like, hey guys, I got one ticket in the shop. It's not going to be done till end of day, but I just want you to know in case that customer calls, I check on my tech. He's on schedule to get it done. And I got one customer who says they might be picking up during my lunch. If you want to page me, I'll run up here and I'll check them out really quick. And most of the time, you're like, no, no, no. Is the paperwork done? Yeah. All I got to do, man, is just sign. It's already prepaid. Cool, cool, cool. We got you. It's good. But I always try to make an effort to exit my customers out because as an advisor, you're scored by your customer. And I always want to make sure that I was the first and the last person that they saw. But there would be times where, you just can't check them out. They pick up at weird times. And if you got to poop, you got to eat a sandwich, you may not be there. All right. So that's your lunch. And that is the most therapeutic time that you're going to get your lunch. And at your lunch, don't talk about work. And if you got one of those break rooms where people just keep bugging you, I've had to eat my lunch in my car. Yes. Um, you got your appointments for the day. If you have any cars, this is your end of day routine. So we already went over your beginning routine is you go over your appointments, you see what's coming in. Um, you brief your technicians. So your morning look is I got 9 appointments. 8 of them are just basic routine services here, oil changes, rotates, and but I got one diag. Okay, my diag's coming in at 1 o'clock. You need to make sure that you're there for your diag at 1 o'clock. So that way you can do a proper interview with your customer and find out what their concern is. If they just say, hey, my check engine light's on, I need you to check it. All right. At least try and get something out of them. Hey, do you recall when you first saw that check engine light came on? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I do. It was while I was driving on the road. Okay. And how fast, like, what kind of road were we talking about? Like highway, city street, where you just had a red light? While I was on the highway, I was doing 70 miles an hour. All right. Okay. So check engine light came on, driving 70 miles an hour. Like, anything, like you hit a bump maybe, or was it just like average driving? Yeah, yeah, it was just average driving. I was just in regular traffic going to Austin for whatever. All right, cool. I got some information for the technician. You write your story, customer stage, check engine light on, was driving at approximately 70 miles an hour on the highway, um, and no outside influence set the check engine light that they know of. Your tech now has something to go off on. All right. They're going to look at that code, but sometimes codes also need to be looked at with possible outside influences. I've seen catalytic codes get set or oxygen sensor codes get set, and it's because, they drove over something and it hit their exhaust. Uh, your end of day routine as an advisor is check and make sure that all your techs sorted out their work. Okay. So you had 9 appointments, 9 tickets, 9 cars came in, 9 for 9. Great. Did 9 cars pick up? Nope. All right, so you got some overlap. How many cars are still here? All right, I got one customer who didn't pick their car up. They're going to pick up in the morning. I already talked to them. They said they're going to be here at first daylight. Cool. What's first daylight? Is that when the shop opens or is that just when they want to straggle in? Make that known so that you are available because if you're the second shift of the day, all right, which means that you might come in at 9 o'clock and close the shop at 7 o'clock and you're not the opening shift. Again, as an advisor, you want to make sure that you're there to close that ticket out with that customer and let them go. Keep that personal relationship, keep that customer coming back to just you. If you have a car that had a potential big upsell and now it's going to stay in the shop for another day or two because they're going to fix an axle or they got parts on order and the car is going to stay here. All right. Put that on your second list. Okay. So you got your main list of daily cars. Now you got your second list of cars that are staying in the shop. So Let's say it's parts on order. Your tech sold an axle, busted CV axle boot. Can't repair the boot. We got to get an axle. It's not in town. It's 2 days out. Car's going to stay at the shop. All right. Even though you told that customer that part is 2 days out, still the next day, I fire up a text message to them. I don't have to disturb them with a phone call. All right. Everybody likes text messages now. So I'll send him out a message and I'll just let him know. He's like, just verifying with you. I was like, I do have a receipt of your part being ordered, and I am just confirming that it will be here in 2 days. And I will notify you the day that we receive the part and when we are going to start repairs. Okay. The part is here. It arrived on time. So I text message the customer. It's like, hey, your part did arrive, and I am scheduling it to be repaired at 1 p.m. today. And I will my technician says it's a 2.5 hour job. So I am going to touch base with you at 4 o'clock and let you know when the car is done and we can schedule pickup. That's all a customer's really looking for. It's just a timeline. And even if the update is like there's been instances where a part was said to be 2 days out and it didn't show up. And what do? Hey, Mr. Customer, I'm very sorry to inform you. My parts manager just told me that your part was not on the truck. We tracked it down. It's still at the facility, and they're telling us it will be here tomorrow. I will make contact with you again. I'm very sorry for the inconvenience. If your shop does loaners, ask them how their loaner is. Like, hey, are you enjoying your loaner? Is it okay? Sometimes people get put in loaners they don't like. Like they drive an SUV and they got put in a compact car. Ask like those are little things that you can check up on and just be like, hey, like your Tahoe came in and I'm sorry I gave you a Chevy Malibu. Is that Malibu doing okay, or do you need a bigger vehicle to do your regular things around town? Most of the time, they're going to say, no, I'm cool in the Malibu. Like, take your time. I'm doing good. But I've actually had some customers and say, like, yeah, I would appreciate having a car like mine so I can do my daily business. Sure, not a problem. Uh, I got one here. If you can meet up sometime today, I got it on hold all day. Just come in and pick it up. Let's see. Look at our chat. You guys are some chatty Cathys. See if we got any good conversation here I can pass along. Who's? Oh, hey, what's going on, Sergio? Showing up late, but that's okay. Better late than never. Okay, here in Michigan, you're required to be a certified to work in a shop that is licensed to open in public. If y'all work for private fleet, do not need certification. Hey, that's good to know that Michigan did initiate that rule. I was wondering if that was gonna happen. Did that ever trickle down to Ohio, or are you not familiar with what Ohio's doing? Because that was way back when. I never did follow up to see what was going on, but I know Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio we're looking at cracking down on all this shade tree mechanic work that was getting done. As just as cars got more complicated, it kind of just they kind of realized they're like, we should really at least make sure there's a competency test for this. And I'm waiting for that to happen here in Texas. That's why I got my butt on all my certifications because I didn't want to get lagged behind. But yeah, they're fighting it back really, really hard. There's a lot of independent thought here in Texas, but I've always been I've always been an advocate for at least some sort of board level exam. And it doesn't the exam I know these exams can be argued back and forth of ASCs are garbage, but folks, all it is just a competency test. That's all it is. Can you read can you read the question and can you answer a question? Because honestly, you'd be surprised how many people who are working in trade skills that can't read repair manuals correctly. And you these cars, they're moving missiles right now. Like they're 2, 3 tons and they drive almost 80 miles an hour on the interstate. So if you screw up a brake job because you didn't understand basic safety things about brakes, you could put yourself very in a very liable position, or your shop could be put in a very liable position. Um, a neighborhood shop here in our town that I heard through the grapevine, they had to uh, go through some very heavy litigation because they were not emphasizing tire safety with their technicians, and their technicians were just like, "Hey, it's got 5/30 on it. It's good to go." But that was as far as it went with their, standard operating procedures. Now they have a new standard operating procedure where the technicians have to document the tire date, like the actual, like, born on manufacturing date on the DOT code. They have to write DOT codes on every car now. Why? Because those tires that were at 5/30 were 20 years old, and they blew, and that person caused a big accident, and there was an ambulance chaser, a lawyer in there, and that lawyer did his due diligence to maximize the payout. And he just found out that he's like, oh, this car just came out of a shop for tire rotation and some brakes. Let's see if they did their job correctly. Oh, those tires are garbage. And that shop should have, they say, quote, should have recommended that customer tires. And they didn't. Why? Because that customer had been going there for so long and not buying anything. They only go there for oil changes and tire rotations. And that shop was like, this guy never buys anything. I'm not going to talk to him. He's been coming here for 5 years with the same bald tires, just only getting oil changes and rotates. He changes his own wiper blades. He changes his own air filters. I'm not going to bother talking to him and not going to sell him. That got him burned. They lost. They settled. They weren't even gonna fight it. That's what I got through the grapevine is litigation was 2 days and they settled. So, that's kinda where things are going. It's sue happy America. Yeah, the customer was in the mindset of, "I don't care. It's got 4 wheels, it drives," but that vehicle lost control, I guess, and it hurt somebody else, and that somebody else's lawyer maximized the payout. And when it comes to situations like that, they'll go after everybody that touches that car. I have to be very careful with what I do, and I'm very good at documenting because I'm a state inspector. You bring a car in, I know we hate state inspection, guys, but I cover my ass on every state inspection. And I am not afraid to get into that computer and put notes because there's a special computer you go for the state inspection terminal. And when you go to state inspector training, they the whole tire thing can sound like a gray area. All right, the car, the required safety inspection is to go drive the car, get it up to 30 miles an hour, and slam on the brakes. Does the car stop within 20 feet? That's like one of the major things that you have to do. So I drive the car, slam on the brakes. It stops in less than 20 feet. It's good to go. I get it on a lift. I look at the tires, no bald spots. Hey, the tires are at 7/32 all the way around. No one even wear. Uh, do I see any big cracks? No, because they're crack standard, and this is important. It's written in the book. It says if you see a crack of at least 1 inch, you have to fail the inspection. But what if there's a whole bunch of little micro cracks? Well, I can't fail it for that. But what I can do is in the comment section of that inspection, I can put my notes. Hey, all 4 tires, they look like they got dry rot, some micro cracks. I recommend it to the customer 4 new tires. It gets a pass. It still gets a pass. But that covered my ass because if that tire did blow out for whatever reason and it decides to come back on me as an inspector because I signed a contract that says I'm liable for this vehicle inspection. You see how that goes? So cover your ass with documentation. You see something, say something. Hey, it was a pass. That's cool. But if you're afraid that something could happen, just put in your opinion. Hey, there's a microcrack. Um, I've used it before with low brake pads. Customer didn't want to buy brakes, but you cannot fail a state inspection for having low brake pads. But they were really low, like 2 millimeters, almost metal to metal, if not metal to metal. I put in there, hey, the brakes are low. I measure 2 millimeters front and rear. I recommended brakes, customer declined. So if that car doesn't stop 1,000 miles down the road, I'm not held liable because at least I said, yeah, I recommended them, but it still passed inspection because it passed your little 30-mile-an-hour brake check. So those are ways that you keep your ass out of hot water. And my notes have kept me out of hot water a lot because people have come back. People have come back with some things and they tried to make the shop pay for it. And it's only through the grace of the fact that I took the 5 minutes to write a detailed explanation of what I observed. So, guys, we are way past the 1 hour mark. We're at 10:20. We're going to go, as JT says, straight to the bottom, work our way back and see if anything stands out and say my goodbyes. Quick wrench, I want to thank you for showing up. Thank you for paying it forward with the tools. Garage Monkey, thank you for being here. Learning with Juan, always a pleasure, sir. Congratulations on your tools. I'll wait for that email. Canadian Diesel, yes, everyone is getting sleepy. It is nap time. It is nap time. I'm pretty sure I put you to bed with story time here. Hey, Ohio has no certs. Good to know. Thank you. Well, I want to thank everybody for making it to the 2 hour mark. Next Saturday, see here. I think we're going to, I don't know what we're going to attack. I really wanted to do something, some basic electrical. Okay. What you need to get into basic automotive electrical and what you need to know as far as how to find opens and shorts and read a wiring diagram. I think that's going to be our message for next Saturday. So, with that said, good night. Thank you for being here. Have a wonderful day. And when you go to work on Monday, go to work with a smile and say hello to everybody.